Well, how's this for a familiar situation? Ryan Muckenhern fresh off a win, heading in feeling confident in this round, and Mark is reeling after that last loss. We do have some pretty good topics today, so let's see how they do. You've submitted topic ideas in the comments via email, phone, even carrier pigeon, and much more. We've selected one to add to the mix. That will be our Meatball of the Month, and those winners get a prize in addition to the fame. This month's package includes a Diamondback HD 10x42 binocular, a podcast hoodie, $100 Vortex apparel package, and that wonderful cameo from Mark Boardman. As always, we love the comments, so let's see a few from the last episode. At Clint Ivy's 623, best podcast going. I almost feel like you guys are my close personal friends at this point. Well, Clint, why don't you come on over? We'll keep a beer cold for you in the fridge, and we'll hang out. At Infamous Tactical, my spelling has got worse over time. I'm with you, Mark. Yeah, but do you know how to spell Pennsylvania, though? And at Rob Lindbergh 9339, this podcast can't go away. Too much knowledge from Ryan and too much humor from Mark to take this away. Love it, guys. And that's it. It's time to exit the Caveat Corral for the big shootout.
All right, time to kick off another installment of the Spaghetti Shootout. How you feeling, gentlemen?
Here we are.
Ryan, what you looking at? The fourth wall?
Yeah. Why are you breaking the fourth wall
We have a
already?
sit-in. We have two sit-ins.
Not like a demonstration sit-in, like visitors.
Yeah, you're right. Good point.
What is this?
They shall remain nameless. Huh?
What is a sit-in?
It's
Isn't that when people
you're upset
protest or
about
something?
something, but you're kind of a little bit too soft to really do anything about
Like
it.
you're
so
not
you
gonna
just sit.
You're not gonna chain yourself to the tree. You'll sit by it though.
Right.
Isn't that what it is?
I asked the
You're
question.
not going to glue yourself to the floor of the Porsche dealership, but
MC
you'll be
Ryan.
there until after close.
Look up sit-in and if I used it correctly.
Hey, we got I like the topics for today. They're pretty interesting. We actually put something out on Instagram. Some of you may have seen it. We were asking for the meatball from our Instagram followers. And it had a very specific theme. We got a lot of input and suggestions. We selected one. You'll see it noted as the meatball, as usual. Some of the suggestions, though, were already duplicates of the four that we internally had already chosen. So if you suggested some of those and you see them pop up and they aren't listed as a meatball, you were just too late. We'd already selected them. So got to be quicker than that.
Well, there was no way for them to be.
There was no way for them to know, but
I'm just saying it's not their fault.
look, I came in here, I was told to say something along those lines. My exact instructions were make them feel bad.
That's terrible.
All the negativity.
That's not the Vortex way. Yeah, why all the negativity?
You're right. There is one meatball, though. We'll get to it. What happened last time, guys? It was a year ago.
Oh!
Got us.
All right.
That was last year. Yes.
Ryan won.
Yeah.
I'm honestly just saying that just because I assume. I couldn't remember for a second, but Ryan won.
Mark had a good streak.
He had a 2-game win streak?
Yes.
2 in a row.
Yeah.
And
Hey, you know what?
I think if I recall, which I don't, I think it was a fairly close match. I
Ryan
don't
really
think it
pulled
was
away
like
at the end, if I
was it a
recall.
runaway?
If it's coming back to me, Ryan pulled
Mark,
away.
I
I don't
choose to
keep-
believe
I
that it
don't
was
keep
close. Yeah, I don't keep score.
I'm going to remember that you said that at the end of this round.
That's a good video and soundbite.
I didn't mean it.
All right.
Lives
So
on in perpetuity.
since he won, Ryan's going to go first. Topic number 1. These are all conspiracy theory themes.
Hell yeah.
It should get real interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
Oh, easy peasy. Is Bigfoot real? Ryan, please begin.
Do I think Gigantopithecus is real, Jim?
Oh, there you go.
As a matter of
Scientific
fact,
name.
I do think Gigantopithecus is real. If we look at a lot of the cultures, and especially in the northern latitudes across North America, Asia, and Europe, many of their indigenous peoples have documented, either through various types of illustrations, written or oral tradition, a Bigfoot-esque creature. And I think it happens to be Gigantopithecus. Just not extinct. Okay, so yeah, I think Bigfoot is real. I think it's very possible that a large hominid or an ape could exist in large tracts of timber, well adapted to the environment, and evade detection, if you will. In fact, just very recently, we have discovered a multitude of species, some very small and easy to miss, some quite large, in the southern hemisphere. So yeah, it's feasible.
All right.
Yeah.
Jim, is giganto-enormous real? The answer is no. Said that wrong intentionally there. Do I think this creature did inhabit our landscape at one time? Yes, simply put, not today. We get lots of stories of Bigfoot from around the United States, but guess what? Still, there's no concrete determination that we found one. We've got trail cameras in remote places. We've got trail cameras absolutely everywhere. We've got thermal, we've got drones. We have all the technology to find Bigfoot. And I'll say this, I've talked to a person who knew a person that saw one. I was in a diner, we were hunting, we had been hunting bears, and she said, oh, you're out there hunting, did you see Bigfoot? And I said, no. She goes, well, old Nancy, she was out there with her boyfriend, and they saw a whole family of Bigfoots, and there was a mama and a daddy and a baby, and she had all sorts of sores on her back because they were mating. As convincing of a story as that was, Jim, he's not around today.
You don't believe Nancy?
No.
Unbelievable. Great story. It puts you up 1 point, actually, right there at the end. Where do you guys stand on the whole Bigfoot Sasquatch thing? What's the official name?
I think
Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Yeti.
Yeah,
Yeti, that's another one.
I think,
Yeti seems to be more of snowy.
yeah, the Himalayas.
Okay.
The old Himalayan mountain
Yeah.
squatch.
Yeah, the Himalayan mountain squatch. One of my favorite movies, Monsters, Inc. The Abominable Snowman, where he's like, welcome to the Himalayas.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, and there's a song by a band I love called The Yeti. The band's called Clutch. Great song about the Yeti. It's a great tune. Look it
I
up.
mean, so you think there's Bigfoots out there today?
I think so, yeah.
Have either of you,
We would've
in
found one.
your journeys, ever tried tree knocking?
Yes, actually, and Ryan has the video of me filming Ken Calhoun doing a tree knock.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I've seen that.
Yeah.
That one, it was like it was placed there.
This thing is huge. Oh, look at that. It's just.
You don't know your own strength.
It just exploded.
Jesus.
Now we just gotta wait for one to come in. Load up the guns, boys.
Yeah.
Good tree knock, too.
Nothing really. What are the odds that Sasquatch all this time has just been Kenny Calhoun out on various
Well,
hunts in the northern hemisphere?
Can you tell me what makes a good tree knock versus not a good tree knock?
Yeah, absolutely.
Ken Calhoun.
Yeah,
That's
correct.
the difference maker.
The stick, big part of that comes in the stick. That is such a great video of Kenny doing that tree knock. Man.
So many
Maybe
people
we
who
can
are
find
watching
that.
this don't know Kenny, unfortunately.
They
Has he
need
ever
to.
been on a podcast?
He's
He
not
has.
a big camera
Early.
guy.
One
Early.
early on. I don't even think we videoed it yet.
Snow Goose Popper Tacos.
And we didn't video it yet, right?
No.
MC Ryan can confirm.
can-
So
hey,
people still haven't seen his face.
We can get him on here.
We've
I've
tried.
invited him several times.
We've tried. He always denies. You send out the Outlook invite, and you get immediately back the red X.
We could do one of those things where we made everybody say Mark should get a suppressor. We could say,
However
yeah.
many yeah, but people are gonna quit liking things because Mark,
oh yeah, good point.
you are ruining democracy.
Yep, pretty much.
You are the antithesis of democracy.
That
are
is not
communism.
true. That is incredibly not true.
I'm gonna take a point off just because I remember that you're a communist. It's tied up.
That is
14 to 14. We're moving on to topic number 2.
I am overdressed for how hot you're making me right now, Jim. That is a very pointed insult, and I
Yeah.
will remember that.
Well, you should remember that. Just get a suppressor.
I stand for America, and I want my point back.
Topic number 2. You're going to start, by the way. What are they really holding in Area 51? Begin.
Jim, Area 51 is simply a top secret Air Force base, and all they're doing is doing Air Force related thing with technologies we've developed over time as a human species. There's been no outside influence. I think they're listening right now.
Oh, I see what you're doing.
Jim, of course there's things going on at Area 51 that we don't know about, and we're not going to know about it. And it's impossible. What, the early 1900s, the Wright brothers, we do the first flight. Now we've got stealth technology and all sorts of other things. If you think we did that on our own, it's simply not conceivable.
You have 11 seconds. What are they really holding in there?
Aliens and aliens technology.
There we
What are
go.
you?
Thank you. I just need to hear
Do
you
I have
say
to
it.
spell it out?
Gotta answer the question.
I'm hot again.
I know.
Now, Mark had said a statement there, that last bit. I had a customer, a mutual customer. We talked about him many times, bringing him on the podcast. Really interesting guy. His name was Norm. He's now deceased. Norm worked on the SR-71 project very early in its infancy, before it was even an airframe. It was a concept. And I said to Norm verbatim, Norm, riddle me this. How is it that Kitty Hawk occurred and the Wright brothers flew something at just about 20 knots? And then less than 4 decades later, we have the SR-71. Now, I said that verbatim to Norm, and I've repeated that story to Mark, which I'm glad he used in his dissertation.
Apparently through osmosis,
Anyway,
you
Norm says,
rung a bell with me.
Norm says, what are you asking me? I said, did we have any help? You worked at Area 51. And he goes, first of all, nobody calls it Area 51. And secondly, of course we had help. What do I think they're housing at Area 51? I think they've got a couple of corpses. I think they got a couple of living examples that are guiding them along the way. And I think they are doing advanced, outside of our understanding of physics, technology, and implementations.
What do those beings, what's their motivation to help us with anything?
I think it's a trade thing. I think that we are trading them either resources or people or technologies they don't have for things that they have that we would benefit from. Like foreign exchange student program.
You think that the aliens,
yeah,
who have mastered...
Bold assumption that they've done intergalactic travel. Bold assumption, my opinion.
Excuse me.
I think that we have a really spectacular solar system. And I think that our proximity to other planets in our solar system, or maybe things that we can't see, considering the kind of very fascinating utopia that our solar system happens to represent, maybe they're much closer than we thought. Maybe they've actually been here for a very long time. Maybe we're looking the wrong direction, and in fact, they've been right under our noses or our toeses the whole time.
If they've been underground the whole time, how do they know how to fly so well?
Or underwater.
I would say this, Ryan. Are we trading them anything of value that they need, or are we nothing more than the equivalent of a terrarium in an alien classroom?
I think that's a compelling look.
Are we that small?
No, I think that we as a species, well, actually, if you want to get really deep, if you've ever seen the movie Prometheus, it gives it's a bad movie. It's a bad movie from like an execution standpoint, but it paints a really interesting picture in that there was an origin species, in this case, the engineers. The backstory is really good. They colonize planets by deconstructing themselves. Never mind. It's beyond your level of mental comprehension anyways.
I was listening to Tool. I totally get it.
Next question. Thanks, Jim.
Ryan, I was just being rude.
No, it's fine, Mark. It's okay.
I'll say it then. That was boring.
Kind of a slow burner.
Yeah, let's move on. Just like the movie, Ryan. Topic number 3. Who started last? What year are we in? Is it still 25?
25, Ryan goes.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Ryan, this is the meatball, the official meatball. At Heinz_Levi, that's what I'm going to assume that is. Not Heinz. Heinz, yeah. On Instagram. The moon landing is fake. Actually, it was a statement, and I think you're just supposed to say whether or not you agree with some supporting details. Ryan, please begin.
In 7th grade, there was a documentary that came out on the lunar landing being a hoax, and it was all the buzz for me. My science teacher, Mr. Schmidt.
Kind of a pun there. Buzz.
Buzz Aldrin, right.
Very nice.
My science teacher, Mr. Schmidt, latched onto this, and he was like he wasn't a learned doctor because he wasn't a doctor, but he was a very bright guy. And we spent the majority of that semester kind of substantiating that claim, talking about things like radiation, talking about escape velocity requirements, talking about the technologies that we had at the time, and then talking about gravity and how we were depicted as moving on the lunar surface and what gravity was doing to things like dust, particulate that would have been kicked up and floated away further. There's a lot of really good evidence that states that, yes, in fact, that could have been staged. And could it have been done to show the Russians, who we were in a Cold War with at the time, that we got this, when in fact we did not have this? I think so. Go ahead, Mark.
Jim, my tinfoil hat run deepeth with this one. Yeah, it was a fake. It was fraudulent. And as Ryan said, it was essentially just a complete, it was a strategic movement by the U.S. to be perceived as that we were that far ahead of the Russians. Possibly stopping some negative occurrences down the road. I don't know. Jim, we've got weird shadows. We've got the flag. We've got, wait a minute, who the heck was filming this thing when it took off? We've got the fact that we haven't been back. Like, we just did it that long ago, and we're talking about, technology earlier with all these things that we have now, but we don't go back? Why, Jim? Why? We've got radiation. We've got all these things that essentially are preventing us from going today, but somehow magically we can go back then? I'm not buying it.
Yeah. All good points. It's interesting that neither of you said that it actually did happen. Both of you are on board with Heinz_Levi here that the moon landing was fake.
Can we ask your take on the moon landing, James?
You want to know my take?
Yeah.
Boy. I think I'm in the same boat as you guys.
A lot of unknowns.
There's a lot of unknowns, but the questions that remain asked to this day have not been answered. And so it's one of those guilty until proven innocent type things where you're going to have to substantiate some of these claims. I will say I did really enjoy learning about, so like one of the things, a couple of things, they're all automotive related naturally, but that whole time in history, the world was very focused on space travel. You look back and you have kids' cartoons, the Jetsons, all of automotive manufacturing was geared towards trying to make everything look like a spaceship. And I totally love it. Like the aesthetic of it all, and awesome. I wish it was still like that. Now you could say, oh, well, what about, Tesla just came out with the Cybertruck and, they got all this stuff, which I think looks stupid and is stupid. Yeah, I think that time in history was cool. James May on the Grand Tour did a really awesome segment where he went to NASA and they had Lance Armstrong's old Corvette, which was a C2 Stingray. I think it was a split.
Neil or
Lance
Lance?
or Neil? The cyclist?
Oh, I always say Lance. No, I always say Neil. Excuse me. I always say Lance.
Yeah.
Because Lance was alive during my lifetime.
He probably rode
and
his bike
Neil,
to the moon.
He might have. He might have just ridden his bike to
I'd
the
say
set.
that's more likely than us landing on the moon back in.
Yeah. No, Lance was alive during my lifetime, and Neil was not a thing. But anyway, Neil, he drove his Corvette C2. Like I said, I think it was a split rear window, but it might not have been. And it was all patinaed and everything. Basically, like they found it and they just left it as is, but fixed it up, and he drove it down the runway for the space shuttle.
That's cool.
That was neat.
Yeah.
That was a really cool,
cool
segment that they did.
I mean, I want to believe that it's real. I wish it wasn't. It's possible it may in fact be. I just feel like there's a lot of inconsistencies.
The problem is if we could go back, hold on. You can't really even say it. There's all this science that people have that's like, oh, because of this science, this should be true. We should be seeing this in the video. But it's all these people talking about theories and theoretical stuff like that. I need somebody to go on the moon. I need to go on the moon. That's the thing, is I need to go on the moon and I need to go like this and see what happens with the dust. And I need to take a flag and go and see what happens to the flag. But we can't. Because I don't have a ticket to the moon.
That's what they want us to do.
All right. So moving on to topic number 4. Thanks for the meatball at Lance Armstrong. There was no reason for you to get involved in this at all. So
Here you are.
why don't you just
What's your
go
take?
back to France? Okay. Topic number 4. Mark's going to start. Our birds, government drones. Start.
Boy, Jim, as much as I like a good conspiracy theory, as much as the next guy, I'm going to have to go with no on this one, and I have empirical evidence. I happen to know a person who's shot several birds off of power line wires, all of which were of organic matter. I think they're not government drones. Do I think we have the capability? To make drones that are even insect size for surveillance and other things? I do, but birds are birds, and those are just simply devices that we use for how the government uses them. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think I'm important enough that they'd use them to watch me, but they don't have to, Jim.
don't know that,
because I keep their listening device in my pocket.
It's true. You volunteered. You volunteered as tribute.
Are you good?
I'm good. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Are birds government drones? Some birds are government drones. There are birds that have been built for government drones. And the government has been using birds to gain reconnaissance, to pass intelligence from A to B since World War I. The government was using birds to figure out how to fly missiles more accurately.
Mm-hmm.
And
Doesn't make them a drone.
well, I guess it depends on your definition of the drone.
The
Because
missile
let me
with the
tell you
bird
how that
inside
is.
was basically like a drone.
You put a pigeon inside of the nose cone of a missile after training it to peck a picture of a battleship, and that missile is in flight. That bird is the drone. The bird is a drone. So some birds are government drones. Not all drones are government birds.
Okay.
That one will take a little bit. Some birds are drones. Not all birds are government, or not all
Very profound.
drones are government
Not all
birds.
drones are birds. Yeah, you got a point for that. You guys are tied up again. So you were at 30-30. Both got 13 points at 43. Talk about some technology, though, back in the day. That a pigeon could peck at a window on the front of a nose cone and it would steer the missile somehow?
There's some debate as to whether that actually got employed.
And there is.
Yeah. But it's pretty profound. Like, when you watch that going on, like, that bird is spot on. And if you've ever raised chickens, well, Jim, you know a thing or two about ground walking birds and their ability to snatch something small off the ground with their face.
And their fixation.
Yes. So we have a hard enough time smashing this button correctly using hand-eye coordination. They have to use their face, and they nail it every time. A turkey rarely...
You don't think that you'd be a little more accurate on this button if you were using your nose?
If I had to hit it with a the tip of your nose, I think that
You'd chip a tooth.
yeah, you'd end up
That's
hurting
the problem.
yourself.
We got soft faces. They've got hard.
But they're better.
hard
They're
beaks.
better at, because they don't have hands. Their hands tuck in.
More practice.
Yeah, they have to know where the beak is. The beak knows where it is because it knows where it isn't. Birds are drones.
That's
okay.
True. That's a true statement.
My turn.
The government is. If the government's watching, now you know we're on to you. Somebody from the government's probably.
Are we on
watching
4 or
us.
5?
We're on 5.
Oh, okay.
You're starting? Yes,
Yeah,
you're starting.
It's my turn.
Does the TV show The Simpsons predict the future? Let's address this one.
Yeah.
Brian, start.
I think a better question is Matt Groening a time traveler? Because to say that the show predicts the future absolves him of everything. But Matt, big fan, man. Your show raised me. Your show was something that my father hated so badly, so I loved it so much more. How many times have you been right? And not just a little right. Not just a little right. Like depicting the scene of the crime, the murder weapon used, where the blood splatter landed up. I mean, as if photographically perfect. Is Matt Groening a time traveler? Yes. Does he then use the show to, I guess, make a fun laugh for everybody watching? Oh my gosh, they predicted The Simpsons. Yeah, absolutely. It predicts the future. It has multiple times, not just one, not just two, like 12. and with odd accuracy. Mark, go ahead.
All right.
Ryan, I commend you with taking a conspiracy and layering a completely different conspiracy on top of it.
That's true.
Ryan is right. I mean, the accuracy and the obscurity of the events that are predicted is uncanny. Now I'll say this. I don't necessarily think that the show predicts the future. I do think that it influences the future by putting these things out into the universe that ultimately manifest themselves in various ways. One most notable and very current event would be our incoming president, which was predicted by this is probably, that's the one that I'm aware of because it's been talked about lately. How do you predict that? Now I say maybe you don't predict that, but maybe you manifest that by putting that out in the universe, and somebody might be like, maybe I have a competitive personality. And I say, oh really? You think that's satirical? Watch this.
The hard part about that specific instance was it was an escalator. There was a tag board. The tag board was dropped. It was before Donald Trump's first presidency. It's too good. It's too good. I'm with you. I agree.
54, huh? Yeah, I don't keep score.
It's weird.
I want to know who Maud Flanders is. We had hot dog day today down in customer care and consumer sales because we have a hot dog roller.
And then
It's a us thing. We don't get to have lunches, so we have to make them and then we can just eat them while we type.
one bite, everybody knows the rules.
That's right. And
Mark gets a lunch. He just chooses to keep it in his backpack all day.
yeah,
I did. I forgot to refrigerate today.
he'll eat it later.
It's fine.
The
Fingers
yogurt is
crossed.
sealed. Oh God.
I did have yogurt.
Oh,
It's fine.
his
He's
gut health.
I've seen you do it, man.
Oh yeah, that's just extra probiotics.
How did Mark get botulism? Well,
I've been looking into. I bought a canning book the other day.
please be careful. please be careful.
This is, over the weekend.
Who is Maud Flanders? Where did she go? I know how she died in the show. This is where the hot dogs came from. Her last scene, she was going to get Ned a hot dog. And he said, please no footlongs. They make me uncomfortable. And then she got killed by a t-shirt cannon. So what does it all mean?
Honestly, it's just one of those things that we're going to find out eventually.
Yep.
And when we do, boy, what a light bulb moment that'll be. Mark, you're down 2. Ryan's got 56. You got 54. But of course, there is trivia with a tiebreaker. And honestly, I kind of like the tiebreaker.
Are they going to be hard like last time?
Yeah, they're always.
They were doozies last time.
No, actually, I don't think. Well, all right, we're gonna find out. Okay, get
They were
your
hard.
little whiteboards out.
Oh.
Okay. Caps off. Very nice. Gentlemen, the first question is, when was the first successful full metal jacket bullet invented? One second, Mark. There. I did something wrong. MC Ryan, I'm very sorry. Okay, Mark, are you done? You got like 2 extra seconds. Please flip them around. 1892 says Ryan. 1903 says Mark. Neither of you were correct, but let me just, Mark was 11 years off, you were 10 years off. This says 1882.
Dang it!
Oh, I'm sorry, Mark, that means Mark was actually like 21 years off. Yeah, so neither of you were right. Ryan was
it
closer,
Dutch?
so he's gonna get wrong guy. Oh.
No, that's fine. No, keep it. No, we're good. No.
No.
There,
Keep
now.
going.
Sorry,
No.
yeah.
Ryan, yep.
And then
Ryan was closer, so he
and
gets
then
1 point.
-2 from Ryan because you hit it a couple extra times.
Oh, no. Next, what is the most produced cartridge in history? We got a noise? Where'd the noise go? The noise is gone. All right, flip them around. 22 long rifle, 5.56. Neither of you are correct.
God, I thought you had me. I was like, oh no!
The answer is, in fact, the 7.62 by 39.
Wow.
Estimated 100 billion rounds
Holy smokes.
produced. Look, I'm not the guy who makes the card. I'm just the guy who reads it.
I
All right.
mean,
I would love to hear.
I've been doing guns a long time. I
Yes.
have sold at least 10,000 to 1 22 LR to 7.62 by 39. This is not accounting
you
for.
in Russia?
Correct. This is not accounting for what the Tula plant can turn out. And there's no way that we could ever know that answer. No. And then what the dudes in the Khyber Pass are doing, I'm surprised that it got more.
Khyber Pass.
You forgot to factor that in.
Yeah, the Khyber. Never forget the Khyber.
Serbs.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Hey.
Everybody. All right. This one's a pretty easy one. So neither of you got that right, and no one was like closer. Actually, Mark, no, you know what? Yours
Mine was a rimfire. He was a
is a rimfire. At least you got a center fire, so you get 1 point. So you're back within 2.
Nice.
I hope both of you get this right. What was the Mosin?
So Ryan gets.
He got 1.
He got.
You got 1.
It was 56
got
to
2.
54.
Do you like that point that I gave you, Mark?
I'm
or
57
should I take
to
it back?
55.
I'm just trying to game the system.
Oh yeah. Well, you know what? The system's going to game you pretty quick. What was the Mosin Nagant chambered in? Easy one, right, Mark? You got 7 seconds. Come
I don't
on.
think I got it right.
Come on.
I know.
Flip it
It's
around.
so stupid.
Flip it around. Yeah. Ryan got it right. Ryan got it right. 7.62 by 54 R. And he got 3 points. He is up 5.
Why did
Now, here's the deal. Just because I think
the
that the
time.
tiebreaker is a really good question, I'm going off script, and I'm just going to ask you the tiebreaker question. What was the very first ever dedicated cartridge talk that we did on this podcast? What cartridge did we discuss?
Jeez.
Now,
Son of a beast.
be careful, because I said the term we. That's all I'm going to say. Let's give them another 10 seconds because I really blew their minds with that one, MC Ryan. Another 10 seconds. The first ever cartridge that we
wanna help
discussed
you.
in a dedicated format on this that this podcast discussed. I remember it. I'm actually surprised that it was the first. I didn't think it was the first. Okay. Have you written anything?
No, I didn't write anything.
Pennsylvania.
That's the answer to a lot of things.
Just write something, Mark. Write a cartridge. Gotten like 37 seconds at this point.
I just wrote something down. It doesn't even matter.
What was channel 37 on your TV growing up? Did you have that one?
I don't recall a channel 37, no.
We had 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, 11, 23, 29, 41, 45.
We had 37. It was Nickelodeon. All right, flip them around. 308, no. 6.5 by 55 Swede, no. That was a fun one.
Early on, you and Ryan did the 243 without me, though.
And that was, in fact, the first one.
No way, was it really?
It was, but you said we, and I thought I was
Well,
part
Do
of
you
that
remember
we.
when I said be careful about the fact that I said we?
And then I thought 6.5
I thought
Swede
you were
because
making.
You wouldn't have
I-
been. You wouldn't
I
have
took-
been. You wouldn't have been right anyway.
I thought
Because
it
the
was,
next one on here was with all 3 of us, and it was the 22-250. But I did very specifically,
So,
and
okay,
Vortex Nation
time
will
out,
back me up on that
time
one. I
out.
said, be very careful that
I know,
said
but
we.
I inferred that the other way. I was gonna say 243, then I was like, oh, it's not the one.
But then I
Shoot.
But then I reiterated, I said that this podcast did.
I still find it.
Look,
how many points would you get if
confusing.
it was right?
he would have gotten 3. It wouldn't have mattered anyway.
I feel like
It
what
was an
I
exercise in
futility,
it was- yeah,
which is
futility.
every time I show up here.
It's very government of us to make you do a lot of work and really doesn't matter in the end anyway. Mark, I'm sorry to say you lost by 5 points today.
These things happen.
Ryan,
How many points would I have gotten if I got the that question right? I'd have
Which question?
the 243 question. Yeah, I don't keep score. Oh, that was extra anyway.
Yeah, it was extra. You would have gotten 3
darn
points.
it.
Didn't matter. Ryan, you get a last crack.
Be careful where you Google your conspiracy theories, but that's not my last crack. At time of recording, we have entered the dark days. This is the 8-week period between fun and fun again, in which there's nothing fun to do. You can hunt rabbits, and that is fun, but we should have turkeys on the forefront of our mind. I just got my Season A turkey award in the mail, which I'm super happy about. Early season turkeys are fun. Nobody's in the woods. Sometimes it's really cold. Get those diaphragms out from the old turkey vest and make sure they're not dried and cracked. Start squawking now on your way to work. Be mindful of your spouse. If you're playing your turkey diaphragm call in the house, he or she may be upset with you. It's time to polish up, though. I've heard some pretty bad callers out in the woods. Sometimes they do really good things, but most of the time, no. It's time. Get them out. Practice.
Sometimes a turkey can sound pretty bad.
Pretty
too.
bad. Remember that time you and I were hunting and we called in them 2 guys?
We must have sounded all right.
They sounded so good. I'm like, yeah, definitely, dude. There's a hen coming up that draw. They were good. Just a couple old boys.
Those guys were good.
Just a couple old boys walking around, blue jeans. They had like a mossy oak jacket on, but like it was zipped open. They had a quick trip bag full of morel mushrooms, and they each had a shotgun over their shoulder.
They knew how good they were.
Oh yeah.
We don't need this.
And Mark and I, I'm like, well, where is that bird? Like, positive she's going to be pulling a Tommy behind her. And yep, then it was 2 fellas.
Based on last spring, Mark and I can confirm that sometimes all you need to do is just be in the shadow of a big pine tree.
It'll play.
That can work
In
too.
the middle of a field, as long as you're in the shadow, they can't see you.
Yeah.
We had a couple good. We killed that one, and then we doubled on those 2 towards the tail end of the season.
It was a great spring. Okay, everybody, thanks for watching Spaghetti Shootout. Once again, you've heard some of our thoughts on conspiracy theories, which is always fun. We'd love to hear some of your thoughts, and maybe this one will get the most comments of any Spaghetti Shootout ever, because nothing gets the comments rolling like some conspiracy theories.
I mean, speaking of one, Jim, is Spaghetti Shootout completely rigged? Answer below.
Answer that one.
I could take a crack at that. But we'll leave that for the comments.
Goodbye. And much like the government, you can say whatever you want about that conspiracy theory, but we're not going to change
Here's a
anything about it.
distraction.
Yeah.